name's Georgia Umano. I'm one of the 3 organizers, along with Susan Campisi and Janet Ehrlich. And we worked very hard to put this together, and also we couldn't do it without our wonderful volunteers. And thank you for everybody, especially Mark Buers and Gerald Jones for going above and beyond, and all the other people, and all of you for coming. Just for making it here, it's a wonderful thing. And this is going to 62 cities. Our people are having ceremonies for the lion. Okay, so. Okay, if we could turn off the sun. All right. Can you turn it off? Okay. We have Tippi Hedren here today. We have Martine Collette. We have Tawanda Kaneha. We have Matt Roselle. And we have Lynn Cohen. And we have Catherine Doyle for our speakers. All wonderful speakers, very dedicated activists. Okay, all cell phones are off. Okay, we're going to start the ceremony now. We're here today to honor and respect Leo, the magnificent lion. Leo was a healthy baby cub born in South Africa. Like other lion cubs, he was wide-eyed, with hints of the majestic and fascinating creature he was destined to become. Lions have stimulated the human psyche ever since the beginning of time. The ancient cave paintings 15,000 years ago depict lions. The pharaohs of Egypt strove to be lions, creating the Sphinx, half man and half lion. Greece, India, China, Europe, Judea, all over the world, lions have been regarded as brave and noble beings. Here in our American culture, lions have stimulated our imagination. Everyone's familiar with the MGM Roaring Lion, The Lion King, and that magnificent song, The Lion Sleeps Tonight. And that song actually put new words in the English language. A wing a weck, a wing a weck. Don't ask me what they mean. And then there's the astrological lion that signifies boldness and flair. Are there any Leos here in the crowd? Okay, I've been fortunate to travel to Africa a few times, and I've seen lion cubs in the wild, always close to their mothers, usually jumping on their brothers and sisters like puppies. They're surrounded by vast and beautiful landscapes, and they follow their parents everywhere, learning to hunt and navigate the landscape, full of curiosity and wonder and promise. I also noticed how vulnerable were all the animals. Like leaving beautiful diamonds and jewels out in a field, not very well guarded. And those with bad intentions and a weapon could put them at great risk. Leo here did not have a chance to follow his mother, or play with his siblings, or learn the skills of the wild. He was not destined to fulfill his birthright, for Leo was born to be killed by a human predator in a canned lion hunt. The baby cubs are ripped from their mothers and confined in tight places their whole lives. In contrast to their wild natures, they are conditioned to be around humans. Tourists pay big money to pet the cute little lion cubs, not knowing what's in store for them. Unsuspecting volunteers fly in from around the world to work in so-called sanctuaries, which are really breeding farms for lions. When in truth, when they get to be a certain age of maturity, like Leo, they get used to. They get used to people. They get over missing their mother so much, and instead they have to learn how to act for humans, like so many other wild animals in captivity. This was all just grooming for his final fate. Before having a chance to fully mature, Leo was led roughly into a pen of some sort. If he balked, he may have been drugged. Then a rich hunter, who believed that a dead animal is the same as a trophy, was led to a guaranteed kill with his gun or bow and arrow. Bow and arrow is very popular. So Leo the Magnificent was somebody's fun target. Arrow after arrow went into him. It was a slow, excruciating death. Leo and the other 1/3 of African lions today who do not have a chance to live in their own wild habitats are bred to be slaughtered. So let's pause and look inside ourselves for a moment and ask ourselves, what does it mean to us that another lion has been murdered? Is it important? What can we do about it? Just have a moment of silence. And Leo, may your spirit encourage us all to be lion-hearted in facing the truth of what's happening to our animals today. Okay, after we've given a nice thought to Leo, I would like us to do the following. You have a flower. I want you to say a prayer or make a wish or make a commitment to yourself of something that's going to happen in the future to save these animals. And when you're ready, we'll start with the front row. You can just come up and lay your flower on the body of Leo. And then after you do that, move back and let other people move in. And you can take a seat up on the hill if you like. The speakers will be down here. And the speakers to come will give us plenty of ideas of things that we can do, and we'll learn a lot more about the situation. So just stay quiet after you put your flower so the other people can stay in a reflective mood, and just go and sit down. And then when everybody's done that, we'll continue the program. Yeah, and also sit kind of close together so that more photo ops. Okay, thank you. Tippy, would you like to place the first flower?
Martine's to your right.
And Martine, would you like to place one?
Do Susan and
Janet, would you like to place a flower? Susan. And I'm going to place one, and after that, just anybody who wants to come up.
I went to your reserve many years ago. I haven't had a chance to go back since.
Please be quiet now. We can talk after. We're going to have a Q&A. Thank you. And then you'll be able to speak after to the speakers. Just want to continue and finish this part of the ceremony. Thank you. Thank you for understanding.
crossing. Our team, your little white bunny lives with me. The one that you said.
Please find a seat now. We're going to continue our program. And after all the speakers have spoken, if you want to stay around, they've agreed to stay for a Q&A. So if you have questions, try to remember them or write them down so you can ask all of them or one of them, whichever one you want. Georgia? Okay, please find your seat.
You're the reason I came, because I saw it on the wire.
Okay, I'm going to start now. Okay. The story of Leo brought us all here today. Leo and all the lions of the world who are now targets for trophy hunters, poachers, and people who think wildlife are encroaching on their lands, even though wildlife made their homes on this land long before the humans took over. We're here today to raise our awareness and to find out what we can do. Our speakers will help enlighten us and help us find the way. The population of lions in Africa has decreased by 90% in the last 20 years. If you're over 20, just think about what you were doing 20 years ago. Probably not thinking about lions. But the profiteers, exploiters, hunters, and poachers, they saw an opportunity and they got busy. Not only is money made from the petting zoos and trophy hunts, if Leo were still in South Africa today, his bones would be sent to China for a high price. It's the new rage in Chinese medicine now that nearly all the tigers have been decimated in this way. And because of canned hunting, the market is being stimulated for further poaching of wild lions. All of our wildlife are being decimated today at an alarming rate. This is the worst crisis the planet has ever faced. The La Brea tar pits that were here, this beautiful site, reminds us when we see all ancient animals getting stuck in the mud and on their way to extinction. And Leo reminds us that today our wildlife is on the brink of going extinct. It's like a nightmarish unraveling of the process of life. Lions and other animals want a future on this planet too. The same planet that is our home is their home. We need to learn to live with them. We're here to better learn to speak up for the voiceless, to take actions. This is why we're here. Chris Mercer started the organization, campaigned against canned hunting in South Africa to stop the horrible canned hunting practices. He cried out for help, and we today are the Los Angeles arm of 62 cities around the globe standing up for lions, putting pressure on the compassionless South African government. 55% of the killers in canned hunts are Americans. 55%. But by all pitching in, we can stop this. If the lion is put on the endangered species list, the lion parts will not be allowed to be imported to the United States. There will be actions and right times to take them. Be sure and sign up. We have a sign-up sheet, and we can send you both pictures of the march today and also alert you when it's time to take an action for the Endangered Species Act. We are the ones we've been waiting for. I applaud you all for coming to be their voice. Thank you. And now we'd like to bring up our first speaker. We're very happy to have a real African man here from Southern Africa. He's from Zimbabwe. And he's also an investigative journalist. And then he's getting a degree at Berkeley at the moment. He came down to be with us today. And he's making a documentary about wildlife. So please give a round of welcome to Tawanda Kaneha.
It's really inspiring to see everybody here today. The one biggest challenge in conservation reporting is, thank you, much better. The biggest challenge in conservation reporting for journalists is how do you get people to care about the issues like this. This is a common sight. This is something that game rangers, national parks, game rangers across Southern Africa see almost on a weekly basis. Lions, rhinos, elephants killed for their horns, for their bones, for their tusks, which are a trend that has been fueled by cultural beliefs, cultural trends across the world, sometimes thousands of miles away. This past summer we spent 3 weeks traveling across Southern Africa. We went to South Africa, Zimbabwe, Namibia, Botswana, and Zambia, looking at critical conservation issues, lion conservation, rhino conservation, and elephant conservation. And the one thing that emerged from our visit, the one thing that was consistently mentioned by game rangers, game farm owners across the region is the question of sustainability. This is still referred to as canned hunting. This is still referred to as a form of hunting, but it is not hunting in the true sense of the word. This is the equivalent of picking vegetables in your backyard garden. It's not hunting at all. It's just the mindless slaughter of a defenseless species. And many people continue to argue for sustainable use of wildlife resources, but we cannot have sustainable use without sustainable populations. Right now, looking at the region, we have gone way past sustainable populations, and so practices like canned hunting and sport hunting, I think, are far outdated by now. It's something that should stop. Not only through policing, but as a matter of public policy, I think it's incumbent upon governments across the region to take another look at their conservation laws and make it a matter of law that these species should be protected. They should live in their natural habitats. If they're going to die due to natural mortality or fighting, I think that's fair. That's what nature is designed to do. One other issue that's become really prominent is the issue of rhino poaching. Rhino horns are still being shipped to Vietnam and China. And the investigation we started in 2012 started in Missouri, of all places. We had one of the largest exotic animal species dealers in Missouri shipping rhinos here to Los Angeles and to Westminster, south of LA. A businessman in Westminster received 37 rhino horns over a period of 2 years, and he was found with $800,000 in cash, currently serving, I think, 3.5 years in jail after pleading guilty. There were 6 other people involved in that case. 14 arrests were made, and it involved about 5 states here in the United States. The point is that it's not just in Africa that this is a problem. I think this is an issue. It's a cultural issue. It's an issue of what value people attach to a lion trophy in their living rooms here in the United States, in Monterey, in San Francisco, here in Los Angeles, I think. So charity begins at home. The awareness that people are trying to raise here today is directed at this community. This is where the money is coming from. This is where the culture of hunting. Georgia mentioned that 55% of the money that's going to canned hunting comes from the United States. So we think more about the sources of the money that's fueling these practices rather than the practical realities on the ground back in Africa. And the other thing was, why should we care about rhino canned hunting? Why should we care about rhino conservation? I think the fate of one species reflects our own fate, and it's a reflection on how we treat each other as human beings. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. She's a good speaker too, on top of everything else. Tippi Hedren has achieved international status as a Golden Globe winning actress for her role in Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, as well as the starring role in Mamie and her subsequent list of 82 film and TV credits. It's indeed impressive. However, some may argue that her greatest achievement is as the founder and president of the Roar Foundation and the Shambhala Preserve, a refuge for abused and unwanted exotic pets. Ms. Hedren has also become quite a famous political lobbyist as well. The first, she has co-authored 2 federal bills. The first, the Captive Wildlife Safety Act, passed unanimously in the House and Senate and was signed into law by President Bush in 2003. Her latest legislative bill, entitled Big Cats and Public Safety Protection Act, H.R. 1998 and S. 1381, which prohibits breeding of exotic big cat species in the United States for personal possession, to be sold as pets and for financial gain, was introduced by her congressman, Buck McKeon, and is currently in committee. The selling and trade of these animals has become a huge and deplorable business on a par with illegal drugs, according to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Through these efforts, Tippi Hedren has become a passionate spokesperson on behalf of the big cats who cannot speak for themselves and works tirelessly on their behalf. Let's welcome Tippi.
Hi, everybody. Okay, we're hearing about what can we do to stop this insanity. When our planet first came into being, there were almost as same number of lions as there were humans on this planet. And now we are down to something like 25,000. Isn't that amazing? There's a lot of reasons for that, and I think probably the only reason that we're going to be able to stop them is, people get together, they talk about it, we want to do all of the information about this issue, but what are we actually doing about it? As far as I'm concerned, all we can do is get a law passed to ban the can hunts. And the problem there, okay, that is so good, I love that. The problem is that there are so many people in our government who have a ton of money, and they are able to say, no, we don't want this. We don't want this. This is a big business. And I'm dealing with that with this last bill that I've co-authored. I brought it to my Congressman Buck McKeon. Now this is to stop the breeding of lions and tigers, all of the great cats, in captivity. It's titled Big Cats Public Safety Protection Act. And you know who stopped me, who is getting a pardon because of the money? Kenneth Feld. Barnum and Bailey circuses. And I was told and Boo was right, I was told by everybody that I dealt with in Congress, if I don't let them have their way, this bill will not pass. Now that's pretty scary.
We'll help you.
I mean, it's really, we need help. I need everybody to write to your congressmen, write to your senators. It is beyond me how anybody, we know about the problem out in the wild, but I don't know how many of you know that there is a huge problem of lions and tigers being born in the United States to be sold as a pet or for financial gain. Well, I think probably you know about it.
Not really.
Not really, okay. Because you are animal lovers and you possibly are aware. There are, in some states, it is more difficult to get a license for your dog than have a lion living in your backyard. 29 states have no laws whatsoever. That is correct. So what we need to do is get the laws going, and I am not for big government. I really don't like big government. But there are some issues that have to be dealt with, and this certainly is one of them. In 1972, I did 2 films in Africa. And during those years, environmentalists all over the world were telling us, people of the world, that if we didn't do something right then to stop the breeding of these animals, that there will be a plethora of them that we aren't going to be able to deal with. And that's what is happening right now. And there are so many people who have been killed, children and adults, injured for life. I could talk all day, afternoon, into tomorrow about these terrible, terrible accidents, and none of them should happen. None of them. This shouldn't happen. Our government looks at this whole breeding thing as a business. According to U.S. Fish and Wildlife, Georgia just mentioned, it is such a big business. It's on a par with illegal drugs. And when it gets that big, it gets dangerous. This is a nasty, dirty business. And I came home and checked my messages one day, and there was a threat on my life, and they were going to bring illnesses and diseases into the Shambhala Preserve.
What?
And so I don't run scared. I'm not a scaredy cat, but I didn't like this, and I called the authorities, and they came over and listened to it, and they said, "Oh yes, this is serious." I guess they can tell by the verbiage and the sound of the whole thing. And for about 3 weeks, we led different lives at the Shambhala Preserve, and I couldn't answer the phone. I couldn't leave the house without being in a rented car with the driver, so that somebody could make sure we weren't followed. Before we got back in the car to go back to Shambhala, we had to check under the car to make sure there wasn't a bomb underneath it. It was serious. And finally, they brought the FBI in, and they got him. They got him. And I don't know. He was an animal dealer from New Jersey. And I don't know what happened to him. I guess they don't tell you what happens to those people. Anyway, I started to tell you about the Shambhala Preserve when I did those 2 movies in Southern Africa and then Zimbabwe, which is, of course, now Mozambique. And environmentalists were telling us that if we didn't do something right then, that was in the 70s, early 70s. And still nothing has been happening to stop these atrocities. Nothing. And anyway, we got back to the coast, and my then husband and I had seen, he was a producer, and we had seen on the Gorongosa Game Preserve a house that had been abandoned by a game warden because it flooded during the rainy seasons. He moved out, and a pride of lion moved into that house. It was so beautiful. They were, it was a log kind of, very African, believe me, African looking. The males were sitting in the windows like great portraits. They were going in and out the doors. They were, a couple of them were having a fight up on the roof. Some of them were napping. The cubs were playing out in front. I mean, it was just gorgeous. So we thought, bingo, perfect movie set. Animals of which most people are either enchanted with, scared to death of, or want to coochie-coo and tickle their tummies. So the script was written, and because of the numbers of animals living in that house, we counted at least 20, 25. It was huge. And so that's the way the script was written. So we were going to have Hollywood acting animals, have a 9-month shoot, over and out. However, because of instinctual dictates, fight a cat they don't know, and they have to fight. I mean, it's an instinct, a dictate. None of the trainers would let their cat work with another cat it didn't know. They didn't want to be hurt. They didn't want their cat hurt. So it was suggested to us to acquire our own animals, and that's what opened the whole can of peas, so to say, for us to start rescuing these animals. And so that by 1976, we were well on our way to filling up the property that we had purchased from one of the trainers. And in the 80s, we had 150 lions and tigers and leopards that we had rescued. I mean, it was amazing. And then, some of the remember the safari parks where you could just drive through and all of that in the United States? Well, that's a very costly kind of effort, and all of a sudden all of them went broke, and there they had all these animals to find homes for. So I believe that's why in the 80s we had so many big cats with us. The important part of all of this is that I learned so much about these animals, about their personalities, and so many of us were hurt. And while we were doing our movie, it was about 8 of us were hurt. Our assistant director was almost killed. And finally, you kind of say, why are these animals being sold as a pet? These can never be pets. You can never change those dictates, ever. In fact, you know the job out in the wild of the predator, the great cat? Can anybody tell me what their job is? To kill. Okay, but what's the reason for that? To hunt? Yes. To keep a balance. It is in their blood. They have to take out any old animals, sick animals, lame animals, even the young, because it's in their genes, and they have to do it. I'm going to give you one example. This also transfers over to the human species. When the tiger or the lion sees somebody who is sick or lame or anything, they get a bead on them, and they feel like they have to have them. I'm going to give you this one example. Remember when Roy Horn was dragged off the stage in Las Vegas? Okay, and they tried to give it a whole different spin. They said, Roy fell and Manticore, I know that tiger. Well, Manticore, are you giving a speech? Manticore was going to protect him. Now, in point of fact, that tiger was thinking, sorry, Roy, gotta do this. I know you fed me with a bottle. We played together. We swam in the pool together. You taught me all those neat things to do up on stage, but you're sick, and you gotta go. Roy had a stroke on stage, and Manticore knew that. And they tried to put this spin on that, the tiger was not. The lions and tigers do not have a conscience gene, nor do they have a remorse gene. And you'll see that with your domestic cat, too. And you will. Am I finished? Yes.
Excuse me, we're having a
Where?
Q&A at the end, if you don't mind, because we have other speakers. Thank you so much.
I don't know who that is. Okay. Anyway, getting to know these animals and to really know who they are and what they are. And I can't tell you how many times I have been challenged by those animals, sometimes to the point where I think my heart is going to jump out of my chest. And I love them more than my next breath, but they are not pets, and they shouldn't be in shows. And I hope you'll all come to the Shambhala Preserve. We have some information for you about the preserve and the 2 bills. The one that the Captive Wildlife Safety Act was a long time ago. That stopped the interstate traffic. The bill, the Big Cats and Public Safety Protection Act, is to stop the breeding. And I have information about why this is important to get this bill passed, and sample letters for you so that it'll make it easy for you. And you send them off to your own congressmen and your senators, and you can really help. You can really be of value. Don't ever think your voice doesn't count. It does. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Tippy, for those very interesting stories. There's a sign-up sheet, and somebody's passing it around. I think if you haven't signed, please put your name down, because if you do, we'll send you some photographs from this march, and also we'll alert you when there's something to be done for one of these organizations, for the Endangered Species Act, and we're going to share it with all the speakers. So please don't forget to put your name on. Is there somebody passing it around now, Janet? Yes. So look for it if you haven't seen it. if you do have to leave early, make sure you've signed in, okay? Thank you. Also, tonight, Janet and Susan and I have been invited to go on the radio on Mark Eisler show, KRLA, it's talk radio, 870. Thank you. It's at 9:25 to 10:30 approximately, and we want you to call in. Call in with talking about lions. We want to keep it up. We want to show them that there's a lot of support for this, and so maybe they'll do even more programs about animals. We need to keep letting them know this is important, and they don't know if we don't tell them. Okay. There's also going to be a tweet storm that starts at 1 o'clock. Hashtag Lions Waiting to Die. People are going to be tweeting all over the world at the same time to get, what is it, a trend? I don't know what it's called, but to get it, you know, more in the public notice. So we'll remind you of that again later too. Also, if you want the phone number for the call-in shows, probably you don't have a pen now, but we'll give it to you later also. I'd like to introduce our next speaker. She is the founder and director of the Wildlife Way Station right here in Southern California, Martine Collette. She created the first wild animal sanctuary back in the 60s, and she's going to tell us about her work now. Please welcome Martine Collette.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I prepared a speech. I wrote it all down. But then I listened to the other good speakers who were here today, and I decided that perhaps this is not the way to go. When we talk about lions dying in Africa and overpopulation of lions bred in America for the wrong reasons, all of those things are true. The Wildlife Way Station was established to take people's ex-pets because in the 60s and the 50s it was very popular for anyone to buy anything. Pet stores could sell any kind of an animal you wanted to buy. It was legal. There were no laws until 1976 when the Department of Fish and Game, which is now called Fish and Wildlife, created the first regulations for exotic animals and the keeping of exotic animals. When we look at other countries, we seem to think the problem is very far away. Here in the United States of America, we ourselves have proven over and over again that when you remove the top predator, everything beneath that suffers drastically. Ergo, Yellowstone. With the input of the wolves coming back into Yellowstone, the ecosystem is improved. I do not understand why no one can understand that if a top predator dies and an ecosystem beneath that top predator starts to decline, it is also a signature for us human beings that we too are in serious trouble. I fail to understand why it is never addressed in a manner that, do you not understand that if you do that, we the humans will too perish? Talking about the various different issues, what makes problems for lions or wolves or rhinoceros? Habitat loss, poaching, bushmeat trade, etc. What creates those circumstances? Population of people. I am not against people, but I have to ask each and every person here, who uses up all the habitat? What happens to the habitat that the animals used to have? Why are the jungles of Borneo being usurped by palm plantations for human uses? So I think if you want to say what can you do, look at the root of the problem and see what you can do about the root of the problem. There are many animals in the United States. The Wildlife Way Station, it became an incorporated facility in 1976. We have had 76,000 animals pass through our hands. The last count was about 4 years ago. A lot of them were lions. Lions seem to be the most popular of exotic animals. Now tigers seem to hold the primary spot, but it used to be lions. A lion cub could be bought anywhere in the United States for $500 and sometimes less. You pay more for your dog than you do for a lion cub or a tiger cub. Lions, tigers, leopards, jaguars do not make good pets. About the time that I say that, there'll be somebody raising their head and they will say, yes, but my uncle had a great tiger, a great leopard, a great lion. For every one great animal, and I'm not sure how great they were, you have to think how many animals had to go through exceedingly cruel and difficult conditions in their life. When we first opened the Wildlife Way Station, we had young lions under a year old who have had 6 different homes before they came to us. Lions, baby lions, are little Sherman tanks. They are bitchy, they are snarly, they can be hissy, they can also be incredibly loving. But their nature is they're little tanks. And they have sharp claws, and they squabble amongst each other. They play with each other. By the time an average cub is 6 months old, most people do not want that cub anywhere near them because he's difficult to manage, he's now rambunctious. We had a call one time, we did a lot of animal rescue in our years. We had a call one time from a lady who said, help, help, help. She called the police department called us. She was barricaded in her bedroom. And the reason she was there was a lion snarling at the door, and I could hear that through the phone conversation following. The lion wanted to take her couch. The lady didn't want her couch destroyed. She went to discipline the lion. The lion said no. The lady made it to her bedroom, shut the door. We had to go in and pick up the lion. There are many, many, many scary stories. So, big predators are not something that we should keep as an individual person. If you really love lions, if you love tigers, if you love exotic animals, volunteer at a facility, volunteer at a zoo, have some emotional connection with those animals, but please do not buy them as pets. What can we do on a local front? They always say, start small. Start in the beginning. Start where you can actually make a difference. If we, in the United States, and the world and frequently looks at us as a model picture, if we provide good regulations and good wildlife management, wildlife preserves in our own country, we can then expect other countries to follow suit, hopefully, and if not, at least we can be, as an example, this is what we can do. No animal will be safe. For example, look at our own Santa Monica mountain lion population and look up and down the coast. How many isolated mountain lion populations do we have here in the United States? Many. Wildlife corridors are of tantamount importance. When you talk to your local legislature and you talk about building new subdivisions and new homes, talk about what influence will they have on the wildlife that lives in a surrounding mountainside. Have they left enough area for wildlife to migrate through? Doing a small tunnel underneath the freeway, it's a nice gesture at this point, but having established a corridor before that subdivision was built, would have made a lot of difference to all wildlife, not just the mountain lion, but everything else that migrates. For those of you who want to be active, now look, by the way, I cannot tell you how proud I am to be part of this gathering, how proud I am to be one of you guys, so that we're taking a stand, and hope so we'll make a difference. And we will. We will. If I know anything about animal people, their number one driving force is passion. You are a passionate lot of people. That driving force, that heart of yours, that love of yours, can change the world if you want to for the animals. And you can do that. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who do not know what the Wildlife Way Station is, please look at Wildlife Way Station official fan page, and you will know who we are, what we do, and how we can help you do what we do. Thank you very much. Courage and God bless to all.
Thank you, Martine, and for all you do and your inspiration. I just want to remind you again about the tweet storm. Evidently, you can just type in anything like stop can hunting, but then you put the hashtag after it, lions waiting to die. And it's not the number 2, it's just to die. So if anybody wants to do that while we're, in between speakers, it's going to be going on all afternoon. They want to have as many of those messages going out at the same time as possible. Okay, our next speaker is a popular speaker here in Los Angeles. And not that long ago, I don't think, was about a year, or I'm not sure exactly, she became the Director of Science, Research, and Advocacy at the Performing Animal Welfare Society, PAWS. And PAWS is in Northern California, and it's celebrating 30 years of sanctuary care, education, advocacy for performing wild animals who are victims of the exotic pet trade. Please put your hands together and welcome Miss Catherine Doyle.
Hi everyone. First of all, I want to just say thanks to everyone for coming out today, because it's all of you, each and every one of you, that are going to make a difference. Okay. Actually, I really wanted to come out and say, hello, Los Angeles, like I'm on tour, but hello, lion lovers, how's that? No, yeah. Now, it's each and every one of you that are going to be the ones, we're going to bring about change for lions in captivity and lions in the wild, and that's what this is all about here today. Again, my name is Catherine Doyle. I'm the Director of Science, Research, and Advocacy for the Performing Animal Welfare Society, also known as PAWS, located in Northern California. Thank you. Since 1984, we've been rescuing and providing sanctuary for animals used for entertainment and victims of the exotic animal trade, including we have 11 African and Asian elephants, we have bears, we have tigers, non-human primates, and of course our 6 magnificent lions, Denny, Pfeiffer, Sheba, Simba, Bambek, and Kamba, who came from the circus and from the exotic pet trade. Fortunately, they're now safe at PAWS, where we provide the most natural and intrusion-free life possible for them. We're not open to the public. We don't breed our animals. We don't sell them. We don't trade them. We don't take them to fundraisers and photo ops, so please don't ask. We treat them with the respect and dignity they deserve, especially after all they've been through at the hands of man. So now many of you may know about our work on behalf of performing animals in circuses and the sanctuary we provided for elephants like Ruby at the Los Angeles Zoo. You may know that we work very hard to pass the ban on bullhooks here in Los Angeles, sending a message. Sending a message across the country that cruelty for the sake of entertainment won't be tolerated here in our city. What you probably don't know is that PAWS was the first to investigate canned hunts in California, and it's because of our work that California legislators voted to end this horrific practice back in 1992, and we were the first to do it here in the entire United States. So, sorry to say, even since then, you would think after all these years something would have changed, and unfortunately it has not. It has not overseas. It has not even here in our own country. There are still canned hunts that occur in the United States. So the lions still need our help, and that's why we are here today, to end the killing, to ensure that lions are here to share the planet with us now and in the future. There's the old adage that you don't know what you've got until it's gone, and that's where we are headed with lions. The African lion populations are under intense pressure throughout the ranges, dropping to less than 40,000 individuals. They vanished from 80% of their historic range, 80%. Lion populations are quickly declining or disappearing altogether. Only 7 countries, Botswana, Ethiopia, Kenya, South Africa, Tanzania, Zambia, and Zimbabwe, are believed to each contain more than 1,000 lions. Now, there are several reasons for the decline, including disease, habitat degradation, loss of habitat, and prey. Human-lion conflict also takes a toll. Kenya alone loses about 100 of its 2,000 wild lions every year due to killing by humans. May not sound like a lot, but at this rate, there will be no more lions left in Kenya by 2030. Lions are also the victims of commercial and recreational use, including trophy hunting. And I'm sorry to say that the United States is part of the problem. We are not part of the solution. The U.S. is the leading importer of African lion products, and the problem is getting worse and not better. Between 1999 and 2008, the U.S. was responsible for more than half of the international trade in lion specimens, representing more than 4,000 lions. A large number of these lions were taken as gruesome hunting trophies. In fact, the number of trophies imported into the U.S. in 2008 was twice the number accounted for in 1999. So even as these populations decrease, our consumption of lions is increasing, of wild lions. The U.S. also dominates the import of wild lions for commercial purposes, including their claws, their skins, live lions, their skulls, and their bodies. The situation for this iconic animal is dire. African lions are teetering on the brink of extinction. Existing regulatory mechanisms just aren't doing it. They're inadequate, they're ineffective at the national level, regional, and international levels. But there is something that we can do here in the United States. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has before it a petition that would list the African lion as an endangered species. This is, it's very important, because this would be a meaningful step toward reversing the decline of African lions by ensuring that the U.S. does not allow the importation of lions or their parts, with some small exceptions. By listing the African lion as endangered, the U.S. and its citizens will play an important role in conserving this majestic animal. An endangered listing helps to spotlight the plight of the lion, educate the public, and allows for the provision of financial support to range countries so they can better protect and conserve lions. Addition of a foreign species to the federal list of endangered and threatened wildlife is designed to ensure that U.S. citizens do not contribute to the further decline of the species in their native habitat. And if we fail to grasp this opportunity right now to protect the African lion, we may lose this animal altogether. So, do you all want to stop the extinction of wild lions? Yes. Wait, I'm going to ask you again. Do you all want to stop the extinction of wild lions? Yes. So then I'm going to ask you to contact the Fish and Wildlife Service and urge them to expedite the listing of African lions as an endangered species before it's too late. You also need to contact your federal representatives, your representatives, your senators. Contact them and ask them what is taking so long for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Lions do not have the time. They just don't have it. So PAWS is honored to be here today with all of you. We marched in San Francisco for the elephants in October, and we're proud to be marching here in LA and raising our voices with all of you today. So thank you very much for your compassion, for taking action, and for being here today. We have a little sign-up sheet for PAWS if you want to sign up for alerts, and you can get some information about how exactly you contact the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. We can provide that for you. And thank you again. It's just so great you're all here for a very important cause.
Thank you, Catherine. And Catherine, we will be sharing the list with you. All the people, we have one list, so you don't have to sign a lot of different times. We will give all the names to Catherine and to all the other speakers so they can contact you, and we'll inform you, we'll remind you about writing to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service also. Okay, I just want to remind you that we have 2 more speakers, And then we're going to have a Q&A if you want to stay around, because you might have some questions you'd like to ask for. Some of the speakers will stay. I'm not sure. I know Martine had to leave. I'm not sure about Tippy. But some of the speakers will still be here. Also, we have a film crew who's making a documentary about activism, animal activism. And they're going to use this event for part of their film, and they might be wanting to interview a few people after this is over. So if you're interested in that, please stick around a little bit longer. Our next speaker has been working to conserve mountain lions with the Mountain Lion Foundation since the 80s. In California and across the nation, the foundation is dedicated to saving America's lions. Let's give a warm welcome to Lynn Collins.
Hi, everybody. Do you feel like lions out there on the savannah in the heat? I'll try not to talk too long, because I know it's a beautiful day, but it's also a little warm out on the grass. You can feel that your hearts are in sympathy with the lions in Africa who spend every day out there in harsh conditions and have enough challenges just being in the wild without having to contend with people as well. Our mountain lions in the United States face many of the challenges that are faced by African lions. Am I getting some feedback? Okay. All right, there we go. Today, in this day of instant communication, Twitter and Facebook and email, the whole world is our backyard. And so it's important to do events like today where we can show solidarity to places that are far-flung and far afield. But I want to bring us back in a little closer to home. And even though the world's our backyard, the United States, as was just mentioned by the previous speaker, still conducts canned hunts. And we have our own lions here in the United States that are deserving of our concern and of conservation. In the United States, we still have 16 states that hunt mountain lions, that allow hunting of mountain lions. And that's appalling. The fact that we still kill upwards of 3,000 mountain lions a year is appalling. The slaughter goes on. In the Western Hemisphere, in North, Central, and South America, the U.S. is one of only a handful of countries that still allow trophy hunting of mountain lions. It's embarrassing to live in a country that allows people to shoot mountain lions and other wildlife simply for sport, simply for recreation. It's senseless killing. And so we need to take the steps to change what is happening to the lions that exist across the West and that are trying to make their way further east. In the United States, we've had two states which in the last decade have actually added a mountain lion hunt into their hunting scheme. Those are South Dakota, which with an estimate of 200 lions decided to hold a mountain lion hunt, and since then has killed more than 700 lions. Many of the lions that are taken in the South Dakotan hunt actually still have spots because they've so decimated the population that took since the 1970s to return to that state. Even worse, in Nebraska, where they estimated that they had a small breeding population of 27 lions, which had taken since the 1970s to reestablish once the last lion in Nebraska was shot. With a population of 27 lions, this year they held a hunt with a quota of 10 lions to be shot. So even though we feel many times that our mountain lions are safe, that they're not in a situation where they face extinction or extirpation. In fact, they're not. Let's get a little closer to home, here in California. How many of you helped in 1990 when we passed Prop 117, the Mountain Lion Initiative? Not too many. So our mountain lion volunteers and our mountain lion activists are coming into a new generation. Many of us believe because the Prop 117, which was sponsored by the Mountain Lion Foundation, actually helped to make the mountain lion a specially protected mammal in California. Many people believe that mountain lions are protected here. Not so. Mountain lions are no longer trophy hunted in California, but in fact we're killing far more lions each year, upwards of 200, for other reasons. Because of depredation on pets and livestock, because of public safety reasons, and that doesn't count the lions that are dying from the unfortunate use of rodenticides, the mountain lions that are killed on our freeway, those that are killed from coming in contact with people and our pets and livestock and are subject to human and other diseases. So the causes of mortality to these lions is many. I spent Thursday with Winston Victors, who is a researcher from the UC system who's doing research on our mountain lions in the Santa Ana Mountains. He loses 50% of his collared lions every year to human causes of mortality. The lions that he has collared are making their way only to their third year of life, many of them. The majority are dying by the time they're 3 years old. That's not even long enough to raise a litter, to give birth to and raise a litter of kittens. He has lost 18 lions on the freeways that surround the mountain area where he works. So we really need to take steps in our real own backyard, and mountain lions are in your backyard, in the Santa Monicas, in the San Gabriels, in the Santa Anas, all up and down the coast. And those lions are actually showing signs of problems with their genetics. They are on the verge of extinction. Mountain Lion Foundation often says that if Southern California were a state, the mountain lions here would be treated as lions are treated in Florida. They would be an endangered species, and we need to start treating them as such. So we would like you to please contact your legislator. And I want to get back to that idea of Twitter and Facebook and email and all those wonderful new tools that we have that bring us out to places like this. The legislators in Sacramento don't recognize emails. They don't recognize Twitter. They don't recognize electronic petitions. You need to write letters. You need to go out, pick up a pen, and get to the post office with a short letter that simply asks them to force Caltrans to begin to create and maintain wildlife corridors for our cougars here in Southern California, to stop killing mountain lions for depredating on pets and livestock if the livestock and pet owners have not taken proper steps to protect their animals, and to live up to their responsibility to protect all wildlife in California. And so we are counting on you to pick up a pen and a stamp, because you can be assured that there's somebody out there that's ready to pick up a gun. And that pen is your alternative to the gun, and it's going to be the thing that truly, truly makes a difference. Individual lions and individual people are diminished every time we kill a lion. And it's not just a single loss of one individual to the species when we kill a lion. It's the loss of the potential when we kill a female lion that could have kittens, that could train those kittens to learn to avoid people. It's the loss of an adult male of trophy, quote unquote, trophy size and configurations, who in reality is an experienced male who is able to take down a full-grown deer and much less likely to pose a risk to pets and livestock than our smaller and less experienced lions. It diminishes us all. It is the loss of lions who feel and think and experience life just like we do, caring about the individual lion is nothing to be embarrassed about. I'm really proud to be here with you all. If we lose our big cats, we're going to mourn species that we barely understood. And this will be the greatest loss, that we knew enough to stop the hunt, and we failed to do anything to change it. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Well, she said a mouthful, and also Catherine, about hunting, and I just want to make a comment about that. Hunting is our biggest problem. All kinds of hunting, and the hunters have a lot of money, and they have a lot of lobbyists, and they're very powerful. And this is what's happening in South Africa. And what they do is they say that they're hunting, quote, for conservation. Maybe you've heard about the rhino. That was they paid $350,000 to shoot a black rhino, endangered black rhino, and they said, oh, it was for conservation because they're giving the money to the country. They're going to help conservation. That's BS. I know, and it's not just happening in South Africa. It's happening here. Because I was lucky in December. I went to the President's Advisory Committee on Wildlife Trafficking. I happened to be on the East Coast, and I was invited to go, and I spoke there about banning elephant ivory. One of the main leaders on that committee was the head of the International Safari Club. And he was one of the leaders on this committee, and so it was impossible to ignore him. And I don't know, we have to really do some brainstorming about what to do about all these hunters, because they're not a large percentage of the population, but they feel so privileged and they have so much money, and they try to they get public relations to try to twist things around so they look good, but they're not good. All right, that's my piece. Thank you. The last speaker here for our today is a wonderful advocate who I've known ever since he moved to Los Angeles. He's very popular. He's the campaign director for Animal Defenders International. And he's the campaign director in the United States. He was instrumental in the Break the Chain campaign, which heads up the U.S., which is to end the circus suffering of wildlife in circuses. And they helped sponsor the TIPA bill. And recently, you probably know or heard about Lion Ark, the movie. They made a movie about they're going to South America and rescuing these lions that were in horrid conditions, and they found sanctuary for them in Colorado. And one of them I adopted. Yay! Anyway, I'm sure he has a lot of interesting things to tell us. Please give a warm welcome to Matt Rosell.
Thank you, Georgia. Thanks to all the sponsors for this very inspiring event. I'm excited to be here. I want everyone to give themselves a round of applause for being a part of this day, where thousands of voices have been raised in 62 cities around the world. But we need to remember that this is just the beginning of the action that needs to be taken. And we all need to come home from this day inspired and continue to work for lions and other wildlife that are being killed and treated in so many horrific ways. Animal Defenders International is working around the world to protect animals in the entertainment industry, especially circuses. And ADI has had the success sweeping through South America after we were able to investigate all the circuses in South America. We brought that evidence to all the legislatures of all the countries. We've now passed 5 very strong animal protection laws in 5 countries in South America. And that change is coming here to the U.S. In the U.S., with the help of Representative Jim Moran, we introduced the Traveling Exotic Animal Protection Act. This bill aims to ban all wild animals in traveling circuses in the U.S. The bill will be reintroduced. We're picking a date. It's coming up very soon, probably towards the end of April. So we will be getting in touch with all of you because we're going to need everyone's voice to be alerting their members of Congress to support this bill, to co-sponsor this very important bill. In South America, one of our greatest achievements has been in Bolivia, where we have passed arguably the strongest animal protection in the world on animals in circuses. All animals are banned from traveling circuses in Bolivia. And we were able to, after Law 4040 passed, it gave the circuses a year to comply. 8 circuses were out of compliance with the law, which is a problem with some of these laws. They have to be enforced. We went in with the Bolivian government. We went and raided all of these circuses and rescued every last animal from every circus in Bolivia. Now Bolivia is empty of all circus suffrage. This action was called Lionarch, Operation Lionarch, which has been, as Georgia said, made into a movie, Lionarch, and it is now circulating the film festivals right now, and it's been around the world. It was just in the Sedona International Film Festival and won an Audience Choice Award, and most recently in Omaha, Nebraska, my hometown, which loves Lionarch, and it got the Best Documentary Award. And so if you haven't already seen it, keep an eye out for it because it'll soon be distributed and getting more widely out there. We're hoping to see it on TV. The story of Lionarch tells the story of these lions, 29 lions that were in the most deprived conditions. I was able to witness the release of 8 of these lions. The 29 lions were rounded up and brought together in a harrowing adventure that was all captured on video, and we were able to airlift them to sanctuaries, both PAWS and the Wild Animal Sanctuary in Colorado. And I was able to be there in Colorado when 8 of these lions, this one pride, was released, and these lions had lived for years in a cage that was 6 feet by 12 feet. 8 lions in one cage, literally living on top of each other, sleeping and walking on top of each other for years on end. And I was able to see as they were released into a 20-acre habitat, the most amazing place you'll ever see. Go visit if you have a chance. It's outside of Denver. These lions were playing like kittens and running around and chasing each other, and this is their new home. That was the first day of the rest of their wonderful lives that they have now, living as close to a wild life that any captive lion could possibly hope to have. One small lion, Campion, is a lion that is an inspiration. This lion was, his whole body was atrophied. His legs were stunted and twisted. He was sick, and it was amazing that it was a miracle actually that he was able, and these other lions were actually able to make it out of there. And now you should see him today. His mane is growing out. He is acting as a lion should, living a life of a lion with his pride, and it's just a beautiful thing. And these lions, these are the ambassadors that we all need to hold. This is the life that all of these animals deserve, that we're all working for, and that's the hope for all of them. The next step for ADI is the same thing is happening in Peru. We passed a law there. We're now working with the Peruvian government to rescue all the animals there. We're doing a census right now, and it looks to be possibly twice as big as Operation Lionarch. And so, we're in the fundraising process right now. We really need your support. All the other lions that we've rescued and all the animals we rescue, we care for their entire lives. And so you can adopt animals to help support ADI. You can help us just by contributing your time in our legislative campaigns. This is a really exciting time to be working on this issue. Sweeping changes are going around the world. 25 countries have passed similar animal protection laws for wild animals and traveling circuses. Here in the U.S., more than 38 jurisdictions in 18 states have passed similar laws, and ADI was just on the East Coast just last week lobbying, talking to the sponsors of a state bill in New York, a state bill in New Jersey. There's a bill that's been introduced in New York City. Philadelphia is looking at this. So many cities are looking at this right now, and we all need to get involved. When TIPA drops in the next couple of months, we'll be reaching out to all of you to reach out to your members of Congress. We need your help. Please get involved, make a donation, adopt a lion, sign up today for sure so you can get alerts. Your address is very important because we need to know what area you live in so that we know legislatively when to call on you for action to take. Together, we will make a difference for captive lions and all the wild animals suffering in entertainment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you so much. There is a sign-in sheet still going around. Where's Murray? If you haven't signed it, please. Where is it? Over here. Okay. For the Q&A, we're going to have a short Q&A, and I know it's hot up there, so we were thinking maybe we could all squeeze into the shaded area. If you want to come down here, we'll move everything back a little bit, and then, we can stay and you can talk to some of our speakers who can stay a little bit longer. But we want to thank everybody for coming, and you made it a wonderful event. I think ABC was here, right? And hopefully it'll get on the news. And we'll just keep spreading the word. And each voice makes a difference. We're at such a critical point right now. So come on up and we'll chat a little bit longer with our wonderful speakers and also our documentarian, John. Sorry, where's John? He's going to come up and just explain to you very briefly what he's doing and if you want to participate. So come on up into the shade.
I'm going to move the bike back.
Yeah.
For anyone who has not signed,